everybody, hope you're doing okay. It's Adriana again with Best Life Realty. So today we're going to talk about another term that is coming up a lot. You've probably heard about it in the front range, but you probably don't really understand what it is or how it works, and that is appraisal gaps. So again, we are starting to see that in the Morgan County area. It's been happening in the front range for about a year, but we are starting to see more frequently in Morgan County. So I think it's a great idea for all of both buyers and sellers to understand what they are and how they work. So for starters, what is an appraisal gap? An appraisal gap is the difference between the appraised value of the house and what you offer. So one example of an appraisal clause that may be used, now again, this is not legal advice and does not necessarily mean that this is something that you should use. This is purely an example. So something that somebody might put would be the buyer will pay the difference from the appraisal price to the offer price. So what you're saying is if there's a difference between the two, you, the buyer, are going to cover a difference. So another example of how this could work numbers wise would be, say the list price of the home is $300,000, but with multiple offers, escalation clauses, variety of different things, that drove up the price to $310,000, which, congratulations to you, you won the offer price of $310,000. Now comes the time for the appraisal. Appraisal takes about 2-3 weeks. Appraisal comes in and the appraised value is $305,000. Now, because of this clause that you put in there saying that you are going to pay the difference as the buyer, then there is a difference of $5,000 between your offer price and the appraised value of $5,000. So if you are already putting a down payment, this $5,000 would be in addition to any down payment, because most banks are only going to loan you the amount of money that the house appraised for. So any difference would be your responsibility. Now, whether that is CHFA, whether that is USDA conventional, they typically will only insure or only let you borrow the loan for the $305,000. So you need to make sure that if you are the buyer and you are offering this appraisal gap, that you have the funds in the event that there would be a difference in the appraisal price. Make sure that you, number one, are going to be able to have those funds. Now, it could be $5,000, it could be less, it could be more than that. Their house could have appraised at not $305,000, but the appraisal could have come in at $300,000, and that would make it a difference of, instead of $5,000, $10,000. So if you put this appraisal gap, then you, the buyer, would be responsible for the additional $10,000. So make sure that whatever amount you put in the appraisal gap, if you are even comfortable doing that, that you have those funds in the bank. In addition to that, when this happens, what I want to caution buyers about is when you use an appraisal gap like this, not only are you putting in extra money out of pocket for yourself, but you are also essentially going into this purchase upside down. What that means is you are already into the house and you have already paid more for the house than what the house essentially is worth. Now, of course, people will say that something is worth what somebody else is willing to pay for it, but in real estate, we say something is worth what the appraised value is. So if you are, and the bank is going to say that that's how much the house is worth. So if you paid more than that, you are essentially going into the house upside down. Now, of course, none of us want to see a crash of any kind, but with all home values go up and home values go down. So there is no guarantee that the house that you are buying has that appraisal price and that the house is going to retain that value. It could go up, it could go down. In the rare event that we have a crash, definitely not to the point of the 2008 market crash, but we could potentially see a market slowdown and house values could slump. And that were to happen to you, then this home value, not only would you have already gone in upside down on the house, but you would be at an even bigger loss because you would be owing on the house substantially more than what the house is worth. So that would get you in a lot of trouble if for some reason you lost your job and were forced to sell your house. You would be pushed into a short sale process, so you would be forced to sell the house for you would be selling the house for less than what you owe on it, and you as the buyer would still have to come up with paying the difference, and it would be a much longer process if you did have to do a short sale. Now again, I am not advocating either for or against using a appraisal gap. Just as a real estate agent, I want you guys to make sure that you understand what they are and have a little bit of a better idea of how they work and how they can affect you, the buyer. Now as a seller, this of course would be beneficial to you because you don't have to worry as much when it comes to the appraised value price, because if the buyer is saying that even if the house isn't appraised for the $310,000, that they are still willing to pay the difference, as a seller, of course, that is more beneficial to you because you don't have to worry about coming down on your appraisal, on your offer price or shares price if the house doesn't appraise. So there's both pros and cons. Again, if you are in the middle of purchasing a property, or if you decide that you do or don't want to use an appraisal gap, definitely talk to your real estate advisor as well as your lender and any other attorney that you might want to discuss whether or not using an appraisal gap is appropriate for you and your situation. Make sure that you are fully aware of what it entails and how that can potentially affect you. And if you have any questions, please feel free to give me a call. Again, if you have your real estate professional, I encourage you to talk to them. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, I'd be happy to help. You can reach me at 970-370-0135 or at 970-370-9804. Hope you guys have a better understanding of appraisal gaps and how they are. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a wonderful day.